Hi, my little learners. So, once again, Minnie is back at your learning platform, Learn Forward, with your book, The Grammar Hub by Feather Cap for Grade 4. And today, going ahead, we'll be learning more about verbs. That is chapter 9 of your book, and we have verbs in different forms. What are those forms? Let's learn about them, children. Here we have the direct object and the indirect object. So we have already introduced object when I told you that the transitive verbs are dependent on the object. So what is object? Object is the receiver of action. Like if we say my father drives a silver colored car. So if I just say my father drives, a question arises, what does he drive? Now the words that are giving an answer to what, that are completing this verb, what is that word? What are those words? A silver colored car. So this is the object, right? So this gives an answer to what? Right? Now if I have another sentence and I say, I sent some sweets to Shalini. Now here again I sent. What did I send? I'm getting an answer to what from here? What did I send? Some sweets. So that is also the object of the verb. And my next question arises, for whom? For whom did I send the sweets? So who is the receiver of the sweets? Who is the receiver of the gift sent? That is Shalini. This is also the object. So in this, we have two objects. The objects that give an answer to what? They are called the direct objects. And the objects that give an answer to for whom? They are called indirect objects. So we have two types of objects, the direct object and the indirect object. They support the verbs in completing their sense. They support to complete the structure by helping out the verbs. They give the complete meaning to the transitive verbs, right? And they are of two types, direct and indirect. What you have to remember is, if they give an answer to what, then they will be direct object, and if they give an answer to whom, then that is indirect object. Is that clear to you? Okay, let's move ahead and we understand the use, the how to use them, the rules to use the objects. If the indirect objects come first in any sentence, there is no preposition, please remember. Like the sentence we did earlier, they gave Ashok a new car. Now, they gave what? They gave a new car. It is giving an answer to what? Right? So, this is your what object? Direct object. Very good. Right? Now, if I say for whom, it is for Ashok. Whom did they give? They gave to Ashok. Now, because this is your indirect object, it is giving an answer to whom? Right? Now, if your indirect object comes first, we will not use the preposition here. So, we say they gave Ashok a new car. But if the sequence changes, if we write the direct object first, how will we write? We will say they gave a new car to Ashok. Now you see to, what is to? It is a preposition that we are using before the indirect object, because we are placing the indirect object later in the sentence. So first, what you have to remember is, if it comes, indirect object come first, we will not use the preposition. If indirect object comes later, we will use the preposition. Let's read the next sentence here. Mrs. Sharma offered the girls a cake. Again here what we are doing, offered. What did she offer? Cake. So this is your direct object. Whom did she offer? Girls. This is your indirect object. So what you see is, indirect object is coming first. So we have not used the preposition. But if we say it otherwise, we will say Mrs. Sharma offered a cake to the girls. So right, see here, they gave a new car to Ashoka, and then Mrs. Sharma offered a cake to the girls, right? So we use preposition when indirect object comes later in the sentence. Now, if the direct object is a pronoun, in place of noun, it comes first and uses a preposition like I bought it for my sister. And can you send it to him? So here, what is being answered by the words it, which are not nouns, these are pronouns. And in such cases, we use the preposition after the direct objects. So I bought it for my sister. Can you send it to him? Right? So this is how we position the direct and the indirect objects. Now let's do an exercise in the following sentences. Underline the direct objects and circle the indirect objects. So I hope it is very easy for you. Let's do some of them. Rest you will practice yourself. The teacher gave us homework. What did the teacher give us? Homework. So this is your direct. We have to underline the direct object. And whom did she give? She gave us. So this is your indirect object. Just two questions you have to put. We ate what? We ate pizzas. And for whom? It's like we ate pizzas for dinner. But for whom is not being answered, right? So there is no indirect object here. Will you please send me your photo as soon as possible? So send what? Send your photo. It is giving an answer to what? So it is direct object. And send to whom? Whom do you have to send? Send to me. So this is your indirect object. I give physics tuitions to Arav. Now what is the verb? Pick out the verb. Give. What did I give? Physics tuitions. So that is direct object. Remember, direct object gives an answer to what? And indirect gives an answer to whom. So I give what? I give physics tuitions. To whom? This is to Arav. So is that clear? I hope the rest of the sentences you can find out direct and indirect objects yourself. Will you love to do that? That's brilliant. Let's now move next. Next is the forms of verbs. Now what are the different forms of verbs, children? We have the present form of the verbs, the past form, then we have the past participle form and the present participle form. What are these? And we use these different forms in different tenses that we'll learn ahead. So present form is the first form. We also say it is the root form of the verb. Then in the past form, we use the second form, which is most of the times got by adding ed to the main verbs. Then we have the past participle form, that is called the third form of the verb, and the present participle form is the ing form of verb that we use. Like for present form, we say go, and sometimes we say goes also. Both of them are the present form of the verb. For past form, we say good, went. Then the past participle form is the third form, and it is gone. Go, went, gone. And when we talk about the present participle form, we just add ing to the main first form, which gives you going. So going is the present participle form of verbs. And all the verbs can be divided into two categories. Some are regular verbs and some are irregular verbs. So we have learnt about main verbs, helping verbs. Then we also learnt about transitive and intransitive verbs. Now we are going to know about regular and irregular verbs. What are regular verbs? The verbs that have the same act, acted, acted. So what do you see? The past and the past participle are same here. Agree, agreed, agreed. So again, you have the same past and past participle form. So they form their past and past participle forms just by adding D or ED, right? So such verbs are called the regular verbs. And the irregular verbs, they change in form, like awake, awoke, awaken. So these are different. The vowels change, they change in form. Bite becomes bit in the past form and bitten in the past participle form. Buy becomes bought, bought in both the forms. So these are not formed just by adding D or ED to the first form of verb, the present form of the verb. These are called irregular verbs, right? So moving ahead, we have some verbs with their forms like cast. Some verbs do not change their form in any of the first, the past or the past participle form. They remain the same, like cast. It remains cast, cast, and we just add ing to get the present participle form. Then hurt remains hurt, hurt. It is not hurted. Please remember this. Put is not putted, it's put, 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 all the three forms. And when we make it putting, we repeat the last letter T. This is double T here, please. P-U-double-T-I-N-G, putting. Similarly, set remains set. Set, set, set. And ing is added, so T gets repeated. It is setting, right? No, it is not with sit. Sit in past changes to sat, okay? Next, hit remains hit. Hit, hit, hit. Again, double T, ing when it is the present participle form. So now let's do an exercise, fill in the blanks and complete the forms of the following verbs. So allow becomes allowed. We are adding ed. So which verb is this? Regular verb. Very good. Allow, allowed, allowed. And the present participle form is ing, that is allowing. Next, awake, awoke, and awaken. This is irregular. And ing is awaking. What is it? Blew, blown? This is blow. Blow, like you blow the candles of your birthday. Blow, blew, blown, and this becomes present participle by adding ing. It is blowing. Next is buy. This is again irregular. Buy, bought. Very good. So you remember that from your past learning. Buy, bought, bought, and then it is buying. Next, do, did. Everybody knows this is do, did, done, and then doing is the present participle form. Put, I just told you, put remains the same. Put, put, put. So this will not change in form. Put, put, put. And please remember to double the last letter T. It becomes P-U-double-T-I-N-G, putting. So I hope you'll just remember them and learn more of the forms of different verbs. Now it's time to recall what we have learned in verbs till now. Verbs, what are verbs? They include actions, possessions, and state of being, which means existence. Yes, that is the B form of verb. So then we have the verbs that show action are the main verbs and the helping verbs. They help to complete the structure of the sentence. They also help in just finding out the tense of the sentence, like has, have, had, is, are, am, was, were. They are helping verbs. Sometimes do also helps like a helping verb. Now intransitive verbs and transitive verbs and intransitive verbs, you will remember from the word independent. Intransitive is independent of the object. It does not need an object to complete it. And then transitive verbs are dependent on object. They need an object to complete the sentence, to complete its structure. Now going ahead, we also learnt about direct object and indirect object. The direct object gives an answer to what? An indirect object gives an answer to whom or for whom, right? So if we have two objects in the sentence, the one that gives an answer to what is direct, and the one that gives an answer to whom is an indirect object. Now it's time to test how much you have learned. So it's time to practice to perfect. Pick the correct answer. There can never be a sentence without a verb. It is that important in a sentence, right? They are watching cartoons on the television. What is the helping verb here? Yes, are is the helping verb. Good. A verb which requires an object after it. So it is dependent on the object. Which verb is it? That is a transitive verb. Good. How many forms do the verbs have? So what are the different forms of verbs that we have learned? 4 we have learned. First is the present, then we have learned the past, then the past participle and the present participle. So verbs have 4 forms. Which is the past participle form of the verb go? So we say go, went and gone. Yes, we have it right here. So this was from your learning about verbs. We have another exercise. Pick out the transitive and intransitive verbs and also objects in the following sentences, and you have to write them in different columns. The peon has opened the rooms. If you stop at opened, does it need an object? Yes. So it is transitive. We will write it here. The peon has opened. What has he opened? The rooms. So that is the object. Because the verb is dependent, so there is no point of intransitive verb here. A beggar died yesterday. Died. It's complete in itself. So it is independent, intransitive. No object here. Next, the Bengalis eat rice and fish. What do they eat? So this is, it needs object. So it is transitive, rice and fish. And we have already practiced objects and transitive, intransitive verbs. So I hope the rest of the 3 sentences you can do on this. Eat is your transitive verb because it needs object, and rice and fish is giving an answer to what? So that is your direct object. So will you love doing the rest 3 sentences yourself? That's brilliant. I expect a positive answer from all of you, and I hope you enjoyed learning verbs in this session. We'll be coming ahead with more interesting sessions in grammar. Till then, happy learning, children.